What is crackalackin', everybody? Thomas here from That Money Guy. Today I'm going to be talking to you about vacations. Vacations. Why am I talking about it now? We're in a really weird part of the year, September, where schools are starting to go back. It's a little far away from Christmas and, well, I mean, COVID and all that stuff. But just because certain things happen, COVID, school, work, life, whatever, doesn't mean that we aren't thinking about these things, right? It is so important if you want to get something done properly and well and executed the right way that you start working on it early. And vacations are the kind of big important thing. Now, I am taking a vacation this year. As you may have heard in, I believe it was my last video where I talked about the current COVID status, I mentioned that basically I wasn't going to be coming home to see my family this year, and so this was going to be my first year away from them, which is really going to suck, but trying to make the best of it. But yeah, what me and my girlfriend have decided on is that we are going to take a trip. We are going to go somewhere exciting and different, somewhere that she has never been before, and somewhere that I love, Lake Tahoe, right? It's going to be expensive, and it's going to be really nice, and it's going to be just the kind of break we need. But, and here's the big but, how did we afford it? How do we pull it off? Now, we have been in position where money hasn't, we haven't had endless amounts of money ever since we started dating. So we've always understood, what the budget is, or what it means to have one, and how important it is to have one. And so that is the kind of the big thing right off the bat is understand your limits. I know it must be great. I know it must be nice. I know the thought of having things like a limo or room service or this or that or the other are really nice things to have. But you need to understand realistically what your expectations are. You need to understand, what can I do? What can I afford? What can I afford? Right? And once you get that baseline, you can build from there, right? So establish your budget. Know how much you can spend. Know how much you absolutely cannot spend more than, right? And you're already well on your way there, right? And the next is to find something that works. We chose Lake Tahoe because you can drive there. It is in reasonable distance, so it's pretty safe in terms of, we aren't exposing ourselves as much, to possibilities of COVID. If we were flying, for example, the risk would be far greater. But we're going to be in our car, we're going to be getting up early, and we're going to be driving there, right? And so you got to know, do you have any risks? Do you have anything in your family or in your immediate vicinity that you need to take care of? My girlfriend works in the healthcare field, and so she needs to make sure that she's good for the people that she's trying to provide for, right? So just know in the back of your head, well, what should I be looking out for? So budget and limitations, things that you can and cannot do, right? The next thing is fun/emergency. And these are really important things, both equally as important in my eyes. You need to have a fun fund and an emergency fund, even for a vacation. The reason I say it is because usually vacations require you to be in an area that you are not familiar with, or an area that you cannot easily access home from. That's drives in excess of a few hours, right? That is flights in excess. Well, flights period, right? You need to understand that if you're going to be a certain distance away, you need to take a certain level of precaution in planning, right? You've got to make sure that you have certain documents. So you can't just run home. If you're flying to Europe, you can't just run home and grab them again. No, you got to make sure you got the right things. So it always helps to write a list of all the things that you could possibly need. And in the beginning, I recommend that you write down everything that you could possibly want, need, might have, whatever you call it, right? It's important to get everything down. And then as you get further and further along, you can start crossing stuff out and tossing stuff. But from the beginning, just write down everything that comes to mind. Because, at least it's down. At least it's written, it's in paper. Okay. And now, my fun fund and emergency fund ties into that, right? You've got to write down all the things that you want to do, how much you reasonably expect to pay for that. right? Let's just say $1,000, right? You expect to spend $1,000 over 2 weeks. It's pretty generous, but yeah, let's just say. But you also need to understand, again, you're far away from home. So if something goes wrong, you are probably going to be spending more money for that, whether it's to fly home, whether it's to go to the hospital, whatever that might be. So you need to have a little bit of emergency cushion set aside, right? So usually the way I see it is you either go 1/3 of your budget of your fund, or you go 1/2 of your fund. That I think is a reasonable amount of money. And that way, at the end of it, hey, if you get back and you make it home, okay, then you got an extra few $100 laying around. It's great stuff. Can't go wrong with that. But again, it's always good to just have that money and not need it than to need it and not have it, right? So your budget, your limitations, what you can do, what you can't do, and then your funds, your emergency and your fund, right? And kind of the last and final point is to just have fun. Again, try and know as much about your surroundings as possible. If you are going to Mexico, try and figure out local things like embassies, just things that you may possibly need. If this year's taught us anything, is that we cannot rely on the norm to be the norm, right? This year's been crazy, blown up, whatever, right? And so it always helps to plan that into your vacation. Again, I can't emphasize this enough. I work off of lists, right? I work off of, okay, this is what I need for the drive. This is what I need for, the hotel. This is what I need for, this, that, and the other. So I'll create individual lists. And then you just start crossing them off. That's all you need to do. Ways to budget and save for trips. Now this is where you can have fun. This is where you can do exciting things, right? Holidays, vacations, whatever you want to call them, they're supposed to be fun and exciting. And they can be. And saving up for them can be as well, right? It is so important to look at it as as an excitement. It could be an incentive for you to get up and try something new, try a different job, try a different kind of approach to maybe a yard sale or getting onto the marketplace and selling items, right? It's a really exciting thing. And I know that it's scary to put yourself out there and things like that. But if you can do that, you'll be all the better off for it, right? Draw money from your regular job, but, why not set it as a challenge? You know what? Say to yourself, hey, I want to work on a side hustle, and my goal is to have enough money to pay off this trip, right? So that way, you've given yourself a really good goal. You've been able to achieve something at the end of it. You know that if you wanted to do it in future, you can, because you've done it before and it's proven. And so that's what I would say, is just try and do it differently, That way you're also not impacting your bottom line. So essentially it was a free vacation, right? It's not coming out of your work paycheck. You're not making yourself late for any bills because of it. And that kind of segues into my final thing. Do not, under any circumstances, go into debt for a vacation. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's not worth it. There are always going to be places. There's always going to be hotels. There's always going to be places to go and see and things to do, right? You do not need to put yourself in debt over a vacation. If you cannot afford it and you cannot work on the side to get enough money to afford it, then you cannot afford to go. It's just the plain and simple truth. It's tough, it's hard, and sometimes it might be really, really sad to see other people go. But if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. You've got to put in the work. Vacations are there to enjoy that time away from work, that time that you have spent, all of that work, all of those hours have built to this one moment, this week or 2 or 3 or whatever, of you just finally just being, away from whatever it is. With that being said, guys, whatever vacations you plan, please let me know in the comments below. I'd be so excited to hear where you guys plan on going for Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year, Hanukkah, whatever it is. You guys have a wonderful, 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 wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching this video. It's greatly appreciated. Please smash that like button, comment, and subscribe. Adios, goodbye, and I love you. See ya. Bye-bye.